Hey everybody, I'm James Katecki, and I'm here once again on Capitol Hill with Emily. We're here today to interview Congressman George Miller. He's a Democrat from California, the chairman of the House Education and Labor Committee, and he's also been using YouTube to solicit questions about the war in Iraq from his constituents and from people all over the country through a program he's calling Ask George. So let's hear what he has to say. Congressman George Miller.
Oh, nice to meet you.
Thank you so much for letting me come to your office and talk with you today. And you know, I usually talk about and to presidential candidates about how they're using the internet and how they're using YouTube specifically. And just to make it clear, you're not running for president, is that right?
No.
Okay. And but we're here to talk to you today because you have a really interesting initiative on the internet. It's called Ask George. And so I'll let you explain it. What is Ask George and why I'm talking to you about it today?
Well, it's an attempt to engage in a conversation. Certainly initially with people who are concerned about the war in Iraq, want to end the war in Iraq, and I think who experienced a wave of disappointment and frustration when we voted to create a timetable to get the troops out by March. That was then vetoed, and then we weren't able to follow up with the subsequent action until just recently, this past week. And they were thinking, I voted. We changed the Congress, the Democrats are in power, why didn't they stop the war? We're soliciting video questions, we're soliciting emails, we're soliciting text message, any way that people are comfortable doing this. We're trying to have them be comfortable engaging us. Whether my comfort level is there or not remains to be seen, because a lot of this is new to me. But in explaining it to people, and as it's gotten some attention, people seem to like the idea.
Do you feel like the questions you've been getting have been different than questions you've been asked maybe in other forums or by other types of people? Do you feel like this medium has raised a different set of questions or ways of asking them?
I think that this medium, when I look at the questions, I think people are a little bit more candid. If a person has to stand up in the room to ask you a question, they may worry, do they seem polite? Are they offending you? Are they offending the audience? This sort of thing. This is sort of a direct question. So
how do you think about finding the time to do it, and have you found that it's worth it so far in this kind of nascent stage of the program?
Well, for the moment, I think it's worth it because of the nature of the medium. It's more than just a one-to-one. That many of the questions are questions that others have asked, are very similar. So we try to group them a little bit, so that you have the opportunity to speak a little bit more than to that single person who asked the question. Whether it's working or not remains to be seen. And
that's true of the whole thing, I think.
Yeah.
And another thing I'd also say is that politicians should treat this a little bit more casually than they maybe would a television interview. And they should treat it a little bit more conversationally. Have you found it difficult to adjust to this kind of getting exactly right when you're on a video for the internet versus on CNN?
Sure, you do an interview for the networks or for cable TV. You know that you're going to be given a very, very short period of time, so you really have to think, in a very concise way, in what we call a soundbite, which is probably a pejorative term in this stage of politics. This way, I'm trying to get into, as I said, a conversation, not a soundbite.
Another thing that I think is innovative about your approach is that you've been putting your videos and the videos that you've received on the website communitycounts.us, which actually allows people to vote for the questions that you can respond to. So not only are you CD controlled by soliciting these questions from all over the country, you're actually saying, people vote for what you want to see. And how do you think about that? Because a lot of people say the internet means politicians are losing control. This seems like the ultimate secession. Is that the right word?
Well, yeah. We're seeing a lot of what the typical controls that the politicians would want, but I think that's happening anyway. I think you're interviewing presidential candidates. People know that they have to respond to these questions. It used to be that people thought, well, you don't have to deal with that segment of the media. You don't have to deal with that segment of the technology, the access questions, and all that. I think those are all interesting, but they're probably not valid determinations. It's still a government that's built upon people's opinions and your response to those opinions, people's inquiries and your responses. And you just have to understand it's all very different today than when I started in Congress, 33 years ago.
Well, I'm certainly glad that you're readjusting.